Satisfy your need for happiness through your own curiosity with the Ranveer Show. I remember reading this report way back. This is when I was a teenager and websites used to be very popular in the mid 2000s. Someone had written an article about how Atlantis possibly could be Lanka.
It doesn't need to be. Actually, again, if you have to go there, we have to pull another graph and
Go for it.
Okay,
Go for it.
Okay, go to Google. Do Paul Blanchon. Okay, so yeah, the same guy. By the way, he did his PhD in the same university where I was doing my master's in Canada. Amazing individual. Now, what we need is one of his paper. Okay, reef drowning during the last glaciation. Hold on, just give me a second. What year is that?
1995. 1995.
Perfect. Click on that.
Yeah, we.
And you're going to be fascinated. I'm going to show you 3 Atlantis.
Damn.
One is Ravana's Lanka. Second one is the Plato's Atlantis. Third one is Krishna's Dwarka. Right on one chart, if we find this. Okay.
Reef drowning during the last deglaciation.
Yes.
Evidence for catastrophic
Rise
sea
event.
level rise and ice sheet collapse. This is the global warming that happened in that phase. And by the way, the global warming we see today is accelerated because of pollution.
Correct.
But it is also an act of nature, taking away nothing from the reality of global warming. It's a massive problem, environmentally speaking, today.
Correct.
But the earth goes through cycles of cooling and warming up, which is why we see ice ages in the first place. And deglaciation, which is what he's talking about. The question I have for you is, was this nature based or was it because of some catastrophic event like a meteor strike?
No, it doesn't. No, it's not named meteor strike. It is that global warming that has begun in the last 20,000 years. Again, it's not some global warming the first time. No, the whole cycles based on astronomy as well that's going on.
Right.
So last 20,000 years ago, why do we say that? Because that was the LGM, last glacial maximum. And since then, water sea levels are rising. Okay. So the sea levels are rising very smoothly, but they are interrupted by these CRE, catastrophic rise event. So otherwise it's going like this, but it's like this. Okay. So these are the 3.
As in temperatures warm up gradually according to the natural course of things.
Correct.
But sometimes events happen because of which suddenly the temperature will increase.
Simple example would be, say there's a block of ice sitting and it's slowly melting. But a point comes when it cracks and a big block falls down.
Okay, gotcha.
Something like that. So suddenly that's going to create waves into the water.
And then just that block of ice breaking down will create a lot of weather changes. It'll recreate maps,
changes the water levels, migrations of people, loss of life.
Everything that people are afraid that global warming will cause in the 2030s and 40s could happen in one shot if nature wills it, like it happened back then. Now let's carry on.
Okay. We are talking Ravana's Lanka right now.
Sure.
But where is the dirt archaeology evidence? This is dirt archaeology evidence. You see, for example, that vertical line, this is basically, so x-axis is the time, y-axis is the rise in the sea level.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, you see the vertical line where you see it. Okay. The most vertical line that you see there.
As in the vertical rise.
Vertical rise, correct? If you draw a straight vertical line above there, it is going to hit at 5,525. I mean, maybe you can find 5525 and just draw a line. Mahabharata text says that Krishna's Dwarka was flooded and destroyed by gushing sea waters 36 years after the Mahabharata war. 5561 plus 36, we have to do minus 36 because of BC, 5525 BC. In the middle of 6th millennium BCE, which is 5525 BCE, 5500 BCE, there was this is Arabian Sea data. Dwarka is on the Arabian Sea, west coast of India. Sudden sea level rise, listen to this, of 15 meters. Imagine 15 meters happen in Mumbai. Forget 15 meters. 3 meters would be disastrous. 15 meters sudden sea level rise in the middle of 6th millennium BCE in the Arabian Sea. That's Krishna's Dwarka getting destroyed.
2 meters is about a 6'5" or 6'6"
6 feet, simple 6 feet, yeah.
And you're saying 15 meters.
So 50 feet.
7 times that much. 7 6.5 foot guys kept one above the other.
Yes.
That's how much sea levels rose.
Yes.
All over the world?
That's the interesting part. We can go around the world if you like. But this one is only the Arabian Sea, which has a direct connection with the Krishna's Dwarka.
I wonder why, keeping physics in mind, it wasn't all over the world.
Great point. Actually, a brilliant question. And I'm not doing this to praise you.
I'll still take it.
The brilliant question. Do you know why? Because there is a phenomenon called subsidence or subsidence. Whereas because water is a liquid, you would imagine that around the world they are all connected, and in an equilibrium state, they should attain the same height.
Yeah.
True. But the local landmass with respect to the ocean level is also changes.
Okay. Got it. Because land can be shaped differently.
Locally, right? Because these are the tectonic plates, different tectonic plates.
Right. So
and
some pieces of land might block out the water like a dam.
Correct. And actually land goes down. That has happened in Dholavira in Gujarat. The land has come up in our times. So the ocean is no longer there in Dholavira. 2 reasons. Actually, water level is coming up. So why the water went away from Dholavira? Because the land has risen. There. But so this is Dwarka, Krishna's Dwarka.
What Sir is effectively saying is the crust of the earth is not like an eggshell. It's like a combination of different pieces of earth that go all around, float around, but also go up and down.
Correct. And then there are many other sub-phenomena, like we call it, this is a tectonic, like the tectonic land, but there is something called earth crust displacement. Also earth crust displacement, like a orange skin moving over the core of the orange without moving the core of the orange. Wow. That's another phenomenon. Something else. Depending on the quality of the clay and everything, what sinks, what comes up in an individual area changes. It's a very complex phenomenon. Okay. Now remember the time of Ramayana. There is no written evidence, but in the tradition of India, Kerala, I have seen from a Kerala novelist. Actually, he used my dating and wrote a novel. I mean, he wrote his novel, used my dating of 12,209. Okay, Trivin Nair. Okay, so 12,000. Now remember that KA is like 1,000 years before today. Today. So to get to
14.2 K is 14,200 years.
Is a 12.2. Like 12.2 BC, 12,209, exactly that time. Now, remember, because it's a scientific thing, it always has a standard error of plus minus 150 years and so on. So around that area, you see what is happening. So x-axis is time, y-axis is the sea level rise. So we have to start from here, from the right, 20,000 years ago. And we are coming towards the left as our today's time.
Right.
Okay. Right. So slowly water level is rising, but at 14.2, which is Ramayana times, suddenly there is a sea level rise of 13.5 meters and then plus minus whatever it is.
Which is probably what sank original
Lanka, Ravana's Lanka. Now this is a speculation in the sense there is no explicit reference to the destruction of Ravana's Lanka. But if you come to Mahabharata, there is no clear description of Ravana's Lanka. Whereas in Ramayana times, Rama is going there. In Mahabharata times, Sahadev calls Bhima's son, Ghatotkach, and says, please go on my behalf to Vibhishan and just get his permission when they are doing the Rajasya Yajna. So this is called, there is another field, I mean, our academics should know that, called hagiography, or sort of think of it as a fill in the blanks. When all the information is not there, still somebody is going to ask, what happened to Ravana's Lanka during the Mahabharata times? So the narrators has filled it with this. But here, quickly, so that is that possibly the loss of Ravana's Lanka, that 14.2 event, CRE1.
Right.
Now, do you remember when Atlantis was gone? If you listen to Plato, in his time, he said that happened 9,000 years ago. Now, Plato's time is 2,000 years ago. Which means 9,000 BC is what we need to go to. 9,000 years ago before Plato is 11,000 years ago from today. Look at the CRE2. 11.5 event.
Damn.
That's Atlantis.
This is somewhere between the time period of Ramayana and Mahabharata.
Between Ramayana and Mahabharata.
Has anything like this been spoken about?
Think of that. That's the end of Younger Dryas.
Right. That's the massive meteor strike that happened. Not all of these jumps are meteor strikes. but that one is.
Yeah. And I can explain, I mean, I would not do that today. I can explain based on Paul Blanchon's research and some of the other research that I have done on this, what caused this. But it's a very complex phenomenon. It's like a geology going deep down 200 levels.
Okay.
So
it's not as simple as a meteor strike?
No. Meteor strike for CRE2 possibly. But what caused CRE1? And what caused CRE3? See, for us on the map, it looks the same, but the causes are very different. Just as an example, the causes for CRE1, CRE2 are driven from the northern hemisphere, like ice melting in North America and Western Europe. The last one is caused by Antarctica.
CRE3?
Yes.
Which is the Dwarka one.
Dwarka one. Okay, so I mean that has to do with understanding dynamics at a different level. That's not a subject today, not why. But now the CRE3, look at the timing. 7.6 Ka, subtract 2000, that's 5.6, 5600 BCE, plus minus 130 years, that's the standard error there. So anywhere in that time, and 5600 BC plus minus 130 years, 5525 falls right there. And so you asked me the question, is the sea level rise the same everywhere? The answer is no. This is in Barbados. This is in West Indies, Caribbean. So there the dynamics of the land and sea is different than what is
in Barbados?
This data is from Barbados.
Oh, gotcha.
From West Indies.
Got it. As in
so
the whole graph.
There, like in Arabian Sea, I showed you 15-meter rise. There it is only 6.5-meter rise, exactly same time.
Got it. So there is an effect all over the globe. It's just different in different parts.
Very good. I have done research, shown 30 different places around the globe for 5525 BCE. Decisive, no ifs, no buts evidence for flooding and destruction of Krishna's Dwarka.
This is real archaeology and the real work of a real historian.
And a dirt archaeology. That's why I said I have nothing against archaeologists. In fact, I am archaeologist. How can I be against myself? Yeah. Again, the 3 steps. The first step is great. Second step, dating is great. The third step, when they connect the dots, they don't even go that far because in their subjective mind, they meaning not just archaeologists, people in general, those who don't believe in deep antiquity for human civilization, they say, how is something possible from a human perspective happening 7,000 years ago? We were monkeys. Well, that is their problem. Their premise is wrong. Therefore, they don't even think of going that far. In fact, the beauty of Ramayana and Mahabharata is once we astronomically figured this out, therefore I'm looking for what caused the destruction of Ravana's Lanka and Atlantis and Krishna's Dwarka. Otherwise, why would you even go and look at this graph? That will be a waste of time to somebody who does not believe any great human civilization was happening more than 5,000 years ago. The person will not even look here.
We had a member of the Marcos, which is the commando unit of the Indian Navy on the show, whose job was to actually dive and explore Dwarka. And he didn't reveal a lot on the podcast. We actually didn't end up releasing the podcast because he revealed very less on the show. And I felt like it wasn't good enough for an episode by itself.
Yeah.
But he was convinced that he was actually exploring the Dwarka of that age.
Yeah.
And he's a scuba diver. So I asked him, did you go inside the structure? He said it's extremely dangerous to go inside that city structure because under the ocean, it degrades and almost becomes sand.
Yes.
So you can get buried in that sand
debris.
Cave. But when you touch it, it can actually disintegrate and all. So he's like, we're categorically told not to explore it too much.
Right.
But I think that's as far as the Dwarka explorations have gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I know that Graham Hancock himself also keeps coming to India to explore Dwarka and Tamil Nadu.
Yes. And by the way, do you know that what Graham Hancock and the geologist Glenn Milne, he's a Canadian just like me. I'm a Canadian and American and Indian, by the way. Yeah. So I have communicated with Glenn Milne a lot on this geology data. So Graham Hancock and Glenn Milne, when they researched Dwarka and the time period they came up with, do you know what that time period is? 5525 BC. They show, I mean, if you see the Graham Hancock film on this underworld or whatever it is, the disappearance of an island on the west coast of Gujarat, that is Dwarka, and I agree with him completely. It's there in my research too. It disappeared between that's 7,900 and 6,900 BP, which is to basically say our date falls 5525 falls right between. So then he moved on. It is too sad, because if you would have stuck to it, now see, this is the challenge. Okay, so for example, I don't know, I mean, Graham Hancock does so much more research, he's always exploring more fields, so he may not have a time, but it surprises me that he has done the research, and only if it takes the pain of just opening my book, which many people have suggested to him. I don't know why he has not opened. That's like a bingo, another reward for him for all the hard work that he has done. For some reason, he has not connected the dots. I don't know why. But whatever he claimed for Dwarka is what I have shown. But from what? From all the archaeology data, but also from the narrative data, also from the astronomy data. So literary, the narrations, the terrestrial and the celestial. So this is a terrestrial evidence. This is a terrestrial. And it's happening in 30 different places. You go to Vietnam, you find it. Black Sea in Turkey. The formation of Black Sea, again, maybe we'll do another one on this separate. Dwarka. Krishna's Dwarka is an episode by itself. The formation of Black Sea, do you know when it was formed? You can take a good guess now. 5525 BCE. Now, this is a very fascinating story that possibly your audience would love to hear. So I have written my book, first book, When Did the Mahabharata War Happen? The Mystery of Arundhati in 2011. And I'm full-time working for a big corporation that time. So I'm not talking much about it other than doing my research. Fast forward to 2015 or so, I have written my second book also, The Historic Rama. A prisoner from Tennessee prison writes an email to me, and he's been caught for some pot or something which was not allowed at that time there. So he writes, and he's writing something, and I'm not exactly understanding what he's referring to, but he says everyone is talking about the 6th millennium BCE, and now is this new guy, he's referring to me, oh, he's also talking about something happening. And I asked him, because I was fascinated, I responded to him, says, who else is talking about this? So he sends me the name of the book, and immediately I went and pulled that book from the library. The book is written by 2 geologists from Columbia University, New York, okay, Ryan and Pittman. And they have given some name like a Noah's Ark or Finding Noah's Flood or something. What they have shown is the creation of the Black Sea, which is, if you think of geographically, I don't know if you want to bring like a geography of the Europe kind of thing. Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. Beautiful. So you have the Black Sea there, right? So you see the word Spain and Portugal. Just below that is that Gibraltar area. Yeah. Gibraltar area. That is the entrance to Mediterranean from Atlantic. So now imagine this is a global event. This 5525 BC Krishna's Dwarka is a global event everywhere. Like I show you the Mediterranean and Caribbean and all that. So the sea level rising into Atlantic, the water is gushing into Mediterranean. From Mediterranean, think where the Greece is. That is the Aegean Sea. You come further to the Greece near that Bulgaria or whatever written, that is the Sea of Marmara. And now if you want to expand just to the Black Sea, so where the Istanbul is written, that is the Sea of Marmara on the south and the Black Sea is on the north. There is that Bosphorus channel basically. So all the force of the salt water broke through that Bosphorus channel, and the salty water started pouring to the north into now what is Black Sea, but it was essentially a sweetwater lake coming from there. And using 9 different scientific parameters, Ryan and Pittman from Columbia University have shown that this event was a sudden event, and it happened 5525 BC. And the book is out there. So this prisoner from the Tennessee prison sent me the information about this, and I'm saying, my God, I'm researching this for like a 15 plus 20 years now, and I did not know anything about this. Again, the point I want to drive is, unless I'm looking for evidence for 5525 BC, even if somebody presents it to me, I will not see it. Right? So you should have a possibilities. So if people in their subjective foolish judgment close their eyes and say nothing happened before 5000 BC, right, even if there is a evidence, they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Because a lot of their life's work and lectures and public talks will be proved slightly wrong, if not entirely wrong.
Yeah. And the thing with that is, in science, actually, see, all the revolutions happen by proving the previous theory wrong. And actually, we should rejoice it.
Yeah.
See, if somebody comes tomorrow and comes up with a year which is different than 5561 BC and can scientifically and logically prove that that is a better date than mine, I should be happy and not just somehow fight with that person. Now, what is very clear is that date, I can tell you, would not be any time after 4500 BC because Arundhati Vasishta observation will not work. There is a Bhishma Nirvana. I wrote a whole book on that, which were only 1.5 pages in my first book. And I thought people will get goosebumps. Nobody got a goosebump in 2011, not by 2015. I said, I need to write another book. And now people get goosebumps when they read Bhishma Nirvana because it's another piece of evidence from the Mahabharata text. Do you know what it says? Actually, Arundhati Vasishta gives you a time bracket like 10,000 BC to 4500 BC.
As in the position of the stars, Arundhati and Vasishta.
Only in between that observation is true, what is said in Mahabharata. Bhishma Nirvana evidence gives you like 5125 BC to 6722 BC, a time period of 1500 years. It says Mahabharata war can only happen here based on the Mahabharata text evidence.
Gotcha. 1 second, I'll give you one high five for this. When I used to see Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson's work, I always think there needs to be some Indian person who needs to go down and do the same kind of work but from an India context. Honor of my life meeting you today. Just want to say that.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out these curated playlists that we've made especially for you related to the subject that was spoken about in this clip.